Good morning, garden friends. It is a cool August morning. We actually got the marine layer in, which is very unusual for us. It'll burn off here pretty soon, but this has been amazing. I'm trying to not to jinx the weather gods, but this is like we're in the 80s, the mid 80s. It's like cool at night for August. This is fantastic. And I am so grateful and appreciative. I was sitting out here having my morning coffee and I am starting to think about next year. Cold weather, I guess, does that. And I thought I would share sort of the 3 by 3 by 3 plants that I would or wouldn't go again. So I thought I'd run through like 3 perennials, 3 temperennials, meaning they're annuals for many people unless you're in a warmer zone like myself, and then 3 plants I wouldn't grow again. So, my 30-day challenge is over. It's been fantastic. I'm just enjoying all the fruits of my labor here. And I'll keep it going. I have some garden chores I want to get to today. I want to prune, some things back. But I have work today, so I'm going to have to wait for it to be tonight to do that sort of thing. So let me share with you some of my thoughts as I go forward. We are here looking at my sun bed. This bed gets the most sun out of everything in my garden, 6 to 8 hours. And in this bed is the example of my first perennial that I would absolutely plant again and again and again, which is this hardy geranium. Fantastic plant. Can't recommend it enough. I have this one here. I have a matching twin over in the other bed. I've got some Bayakova. This one, I tore out the shrub that was next to it and got a little sunburn, but it will rebound. I have this Roseanne here, and then I have a ring of Bayakova around this inner ring. Just a fantastic plant. This is a perennial for me that I would plant again and again and again. The next plant that I would recommend as a perennial that has done incredibly well for me is Liriope. I know everyone kind of tends to be like, oh, Liriope, because it's boring and it does, but it does really well. I get pretty purple blossoms from it. It does need water, and I think this is the good example. I have this grouping of 4 in here, and they get a lot more water than this grouping of 4, if you'll notice. These are a lot smaller, a lot less growth. So I've just fixed that yesterday, so we should see. But Liriope, incredible perennials that perform super well for us in Zone 9B. And then the other perennial plant in this particular garden bed is hellebore, Lenten rose, or some people call it the Easter rose, I think. Do they? Winter rose, maybe they call it. Um, I just call it hellebore. So incredible. Does really well under this bed because they do tend to be a little bit more tolerant of drier conditions. They don't need soggy feet. They bloom their heads off. And even when the blooms have faded, they leave these cool green um, faded blossoms that are still interesting to look at. And it does just super well for me. So this, I have a whole bunch of different colors under here, and I would highly, highly recommend this as a top performing perennial in the Zone 9B garden. And the third perennial that I would absolutely keep in a Zone 9B garden is Buddleia. I happen to have Pugster Blue Buddleia, which is a little bit more of a dwarf variety or smaller variety. Fits really well in my little garden. Blooms its head off. You don't have to deadhead it to get performance from it. I do like to deadhead just to get it looking pretty, so I'll probably come out today and do that. But it just blooms and blooms and blooms and just does exactly as advertised. The butterflies love it. So those are my top 3 perennials for the Zone 9B garden. I think do successfully just grow amazing. They're successful plants, look great, easy to take care of, add a little pop of something. Let's move on to the top 3 annuals. Now, annuals is kind of a funny um, word for us here, so maybe I'll say temperennials. They're annuals that maybe you could grow as for over a couple years if you have mild enough winters, but technically they are annuals. So this first one that I would absolutely grow again in a heartbeat is this Kufia. This is the Proven Winners Kufia. I always get the names mixed up. I think it's like Totally Tempted, Vivid Violet or something. They only have a couple color variations. They have this one, and I want to say there's like a more like pink and white speckly one. I can't remember, but this is my favorite color. This has just created this beautiful drift of color. Only once did it kind of flop over for me when I did some overhead fertilizing, but it popped right back up again. So I would say absolutely, this is a fantastic annual, maybe a temperennial. I've heard it spreads by sea pretty easily. So I would highly, highly recommend this one. And just over the pathway is my second recommendation, which is verbena. Verbena acts for me as a temperennial. This is Proven Winners. I've got a lot of verbena in my garden. I've got the plum wine back there. This is pink cashmere. This, I can't remember. People call it homestead purple, but I don't think it is homestead purple. I think it's maybe violet ice. Not sure, but I just have a lot of verbena in my yard. And even in shadier conditions, it still blooms great. This is a shady condition. I'm still getting beautiful color from it where I wouldn't get it from other places. And likewise over here in this bed, it doesn't get a whole lot of sun either, but it's still blooming. It does, however, prefer sun, as evidenced by the gorgeous display that this bed is giving us. This bed gets 4 to 6 hours of sun, and the verbena are amazing. I think the only thing that's slowing the verbena down here is the gomphrena. It's just climbing right over them. It's kind of a mishmash under here. But look at just how pretty they are. I do deadhead every once in a while, and they cycle through, but they are reliable. They are beautiful. This is a good comparison right here. This is a 2-year plant. I planted this one last year, and this is a first-year plant. I planted this one this year, and they are barely indistinguishable from each other, and I have them planted all throughout here. Highly recommend. I've heard they peter out maybe by year 3, but if you just maybe get in the habit of replacing one every 3rd year, pulling out one and keeping them cycling through like that, you would have color all the year round. But you can just see it from here. Isn't that pretty? Highly recommend verbena of all kinds. I have a verbena de la mina right here. I've moved it like 5 times. And it's just, I cut it back and it grows back. What I've discovered is it doesn't like to be, that particular one doesn't like to be shaped. So I just planted it back there and I'm going to leave it alone. And then I have the verbena meteor showers in here. That's the purple one. Just adds a little pop of color. It's just getting eaten up by the plumbago, the verbena pink cashmere, and the gomphrena. But all of my verbena is too great. And then finally, my third temperennial annual that I would absolutely plant again are these dahlias. I'm blanking, of course, on the name. I always get them mixed up with the Kufia. I don't know why, but these are the Proven Winners. Vivid Violet, Totally Tempted, around there somewhere. Aren't they pretty? And they just do so well for me. Now, they do have spider mites. I can see that by the stippling on their leaves, but it doesn't slow down the bloom production. They just bloom and bloom and bloom and bloom and bloom. They do well. Shade, sun, they do incredibly well. I'm just really happy with them. I'm pretty sure that they will act as temperennials for me because, if you may remember, I had some lantana here planted where the Supertunia Royal Velvet is. I dug them up, kept them in a bucket. I don't know how long, a long time. Hang on, I'll get over there. And when the lantana started growing in, to my surprise, it came with a dahlia. So at some point, I must have planted what I thought to be a annual dahlia, and it came back. So I'll have to separate those in the fall. But dahlias, I love them, but they're annual for me because their leaves, they're really susceptible to pests. I don't know, maybe their leaves are delicious. I don't know. So that is my list of 3 annuals slash temperennials that I would never be without in my garden. Let's move to what are the 3 things that I would not plant again, and perhaps maybe I'm thinking about ripping out. And I say that because it's everything in its place, right plant, right place, right? So the first one is these cousin its. I love them. They're an acacia. I started with this one over here. It grew really reliably for me for several years. Michael Glassman came and said, "Wouldn't it be beautiful if you did a whole ring of them around here?" And I said, "Yes, it would, Michael." So I did that. And I cannot keep them alive. They grow for a while, and then they start doing this needle cast, dropping their needles, turning brown, just not looking good. You can see this one is turning yellow. And I don't know if it's that they need more sun, because I've seen them around my town in full sun and they look great. My mom has one in full sun and it looks great. So I think it's a matter of they need more sun and more water than they get here. So unfortunately, as I've invested, over $150 in these guys here, I'm trying to keep them limping along, but I'm not going to be replacing them as they die. That's just not in the cards for me. The second plant that I likely wouldn't choose to replant would be this Aster fracari. It is beautiful when it blooms, and it will start blooming here pretty soon. It's a beautiful lavender, daisy like bloom, but it looks like this for most of the year. The legs get browning on the leaves, they're floppy. Now, it could be that they're reaching for the sun, they're not happy in this position, and maybe I should take them out and just continue my ring of forest grass, which do seem to be looking good. But I would not plant these again. I've seen other varieties of aster that I like much better. In fact, I planted some. There's Stokes aster, which I would love to try, but this is one I don't think I would bloom again or plant again. Though I do see there's some blooms starting, which is nice to have color as you go into winter, but maybe a less prominent area, I would be more happy with this one. And finally, I know I'm going to catch some heat for this, but the third plant that I would not plant again is Nepeta. Some people call it Nepeta. Isn't that funny? How we all say stuff different. But this is my Nepeta. It doesn't get enough sun. Maybe if it were in another area with more sun, I would be more happy. I know people love this plant, but for me, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look healthy ever. It gets plenty of water, but not enough sun. So I just, this will come out as I retool this whole bed. I will get rid of that. I feel like there's some honorable mentions of things that I absolutely love, that I would plant again in a heartbeat. So, or I have that I am so glad I have them. So let me just point those out to you, even though they're not, maybe you see, this is why it's so hard for me. I'm like, oh, I love this plant. Oh, I love this plant. But check these plants out. Let me show you. These little daisies, I think they're brachio something or other. I'll have to go and look up the name of them. These are the most cheerful little daisies. They sow themselves, they reseed, but very politely. Look how sweet they are, and they just pop up. They don't get, too mangled by the other ones. These little sweet little pink blooms popping up in here. I absolutely love this plant, and I hope they kind of pop up everywhere in this garden. So this is definitely an honorable mention. Lemon coral sedum, obviously, is a great one, but I did not include this on my must-have for this reason only. Can you see? The weeds are popping up in it. I've got some Bermuda grass popping up, and it's impossible to get in there and weed. You break off branches. Lemon coral sedum is incredibly brittle. So it's like, how do you get in there to get those out? So that's the only reason why I did not include that on my top list, though it just adds this beautiful carpet. Kind of want to roll down in it, don't you? Just adds a nice pop everywhere. But it's just a little bit more challenging to maintain the weeds underneath it. So not in my top. Surefire begonia from Proven Winners. This is the white, obviously. This definitely gets an honorable mention. It grows beautifully. The reason why I did not include it in my top plants is because of this. The leaves are cupped. Can you see that? And so they hold on to the dead blossoms when they fall. And it just looks janky to me. So maybe if this was like tucked in the back of the bed somewhere where you didn't see that, but to me, that bothers me. So this is one that I did not include in my top 3, but it still is nice and pretty to have around. I think another one that what I would put on my honorable mentions of don't plant are African daisies. They just don't handle our heat well. So I have one here. It's starting to bloom again now that it's gotten colder. Not colder, but cooler temps, I guess. I have one there. I have one here. But they look like this for most of the season. They're really quick to die. So I don't know. They're okay. But I think I put them on my don't plant again list. Oh, and another honorable mention of annuals to plant is Helichrysum. This guy, really successful. This gray-green. I mean, look how pretty that is with the purple, with the gray-green, with the pink. It's just a beautiful, stunning accent color. So honorable mention for sure for an annual, and an honorable mention for perennial favorites is Shasta Daisy. The only reason I didn't include it in my top 3 is that it really only gives you 1 or 2 cycles of blooms, and then you got to come in and deadhead, and I hate deadheading. So anyway, okay, gang, that does it for me. Those are my top 3. My top 3 perennials, my top 3 temperennials / annuals, and my top 3 I wouldn't plant again. And I don't know if I plan on ripping them out. Like, I won't rip out the African daisy because it does bring color and it's got nice green. But if something should come my way and I need that spot, I wouldn't cry about removing the African daisy. My mom has one that is stunning. It is see if I can find a picture. It's purple with spiky blooms. It's really cool. So I might be tempted if I ever came across that in a garden center. Hi, my name is Celeste. I'm a plant hoarder. Anyway, gang, I hope you enjoyed just sort of seeing some of the things that are thriving and some of the things that aren't in my garden. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you get a chance to get out into your garden and let it love you today.